Hello everyone, my name is Samuel Weiss Cowie and I'm a PhD student at the University of Cambridge. Today I'll be presenting results from an online behavioral study looking at the impact of training item diversity and frequency on two adaptive speech processes, namely perceptual learning and word learning. Perceptual learning and word learning are both essential adaptive processes for understanding ambiguous or non-canonical speech. However, they operate by different mechanisms. Whereas perceptual learning involves a broader remapping of sound to meaning, word learning involves the encoding of discrete lexical units. There's converging evidence from fields such as motor learning and language acquisition that training on a more diverse stimulus set helps with more generalized and robust learning in the long term, but impairs item learning in the short term. So our question was, does training stimulus diversity impact the balance between perceptual learning, which involves a more generalized learning of rules, and word learning, which is more akin to item learning? Our expectation was that participants who are exposed to a wider array of stimuli will engage in more perceptual learning and less word learning, with the opposite trend occurring for a group that sees more repetitions but fewer unique items. And here we can see a schematic of how one group could have more unique stimuli but fewer repetitions, and another group could have fewer unique stimuli and more repetitions while maintaining total trial count constant. The study involved a training phase and a test phase, where first in the training phase, participants complete a task that is meant to induce perceptual learning and word learning. On a given trial, a participant will read a sentence stem that is highly predictive of some final word. For example, the ship captain confirmed their course with his compass. And then they will hear some spoken item. This can either be a canonical word that is predicted, the accented form of that canonical word. Here that would be compif. It can also be a pseudo word spoken by the canonical talker, or an accented talker saying a pseudo word. The sentence context allows participants to disambiguate the meaning of accented words and pseudo words, thus enabling perceptual learning. And here we have our group assignment. Then in the test phase, participants hear either an old or new item, are asked to type it out, engage in recognition memory, and for pseudo words, pick the real word that is closest in meaning. These tasks are meant to probe perceptual and word learning, and the spoken items can either be items presented in a consistent accent by a consistent speaker, or it can involve a change in accent and speaker to allow us to compare the effects of a trained accent versus an untrained accent. Going on to the results. The results from the training phase, looking at reasonability ratings over time, suggest that the medium and high diversity conditions were associated with increases in reasonability ratings for accented words over time, as compared to the low group, suggesting perceptual learning in these two groups. Further, on the word report task, participants showed an advantage for the trained accent over the untrained accent in the high and medium groups for words. This means that participants were more likely to correct for the accent in the trained accent condition than in the untrained accent condition. And this was not the case for the low diversity group. However, the opposite trend emerged in word learning, where the low diversity group outperformed the other groups on both meaning inference performance and pseudo-word recognition memory when looking at D prime. In conclusion, we found that there's a trade-off between perceptual learning and word learning, where high training diversity improves perceptual learning at the expense of word learning, with the opposite trend occurring for a less varied training set. However, intermediate diversity does seem to confer an advantage on both forms of learning. Thank you.